a market for Rolls-Royce, Ferrari, Lamborghini, Maserati, BMW, Mercedes, and others. No? But to buy, for example, these cars, no? These cars that the top end of these cars would probably cost upward of 25, 26 million pesos. No? These 26 million pesos that they use should have been tax paid. No? So if you were able to buy a 26 million peso car, no? Everything being equal, that should have been 0.7 of your income, no? Assuming you didn't eat already, you didn't have a house, no? And you just bought the car, then that means you should have paid at least 15 million pesos in taxes over a period of time. But that's not normally the case, no? That would be the 10th car probably, or 5th car that would be parked in a house or in an extra house for a garage. So clearly, we're not saying people should not enjoy. We're just saying that the government should get its fair share so that we can build better roads, we can build better traffic systems, we can have better educated and healthier Filipinos, we can create a more competitive and conducive environment for business so that you can buy more Ferraris and other luxury brands. And I think that's what has happened in other countries where tax compliance is higher. They're able to afford more luxuries because they don't cheat on taxes. And I think that's what our main message is. Paying taxes is not, cheating on taxes is actually cheating on yourself, cheating on your country, cheating on your fellow citizens. And ultimately you hurt yourself because the economy won't do as well, the people won't have as much money to buy your goods. And therefore, it is to your interest that we pay the right amount of taxes, that we as government collect the right amount of taxes. So, kung hindi ka magbayad ng buwis, sabi na nila, wala kang pay para mag-enjoy ng rewards, no, of more prosperous economy. So, thank you, and we're now open for questions.
Thank you, Secretary and Commissioner Hernandez. We'd like to open the floor for questions. Please state your name and the affiliation that you belong to. And in the interest of time, we'd like to entertain one question per media first, and then just repeat if we have time. First question, anyone? Sir?
Yeah, I'm Ed Berzola from Broadcast and Print. Thank you for the effort to raise the collection of taxes. But my question is, I don't know how you respect the Commission on Audit when they advise both the Commission of the Bureau of Customs that they must stop issuing tax rebates to the businessman. You too, it is illegal according to the COA, to Chairman Grace Politano herself, and accordingly, the tax rebate was illegal, and it exceeded the previous administration's tax rebate system with almost 200%. If we are calling for the small self-employed people to pay their taxes, and here comes the businessman doing questionable dealings with the Bureau of Customs, yet they receive gigantic amount of rebate taxes.
I think the COA, when they disallowed the refund of taxes, they were talking about back refund of importer. Because the way you give exemption can either be two ways. One, you don't let them pay upfront, or two, you ask them to pay upfront and just refund them. The second method is more desirable because then everyone will pay upfront and then you have more time to evaluate whether they are entitled to exemption. actually the first one, even those who are not entitled to exemption gets away with it. The second process gives us more time to really determine. So the thing there is you do not get a refund unless you're really entitled to it in the first place. Because we have laws that says they are exempted, or they are zero rated. These are, let's say, if you bring in goods that you will use to re-export, to export. So, because we're really assembler only, no? We're not really from the raw material up. No? The raw material comes from somewhere else and we just process it. So, if we do not allow a exemption, then we cannot get this product and we cannot be in the export market. The objective really for our country is to be more, let's say, if we have raw materials from here, to really process it all the way until it's a finished product. So that way, the whole economy will benefit, but we're not yet at that stage. So basically, that's the answer. No? If we don't allow these people to bring in goods, it will risk a lot of jobs, especially those in PESA, those who do something to things that they import and re-export. That will be hundreds, thousands of jobs, if not millions of jobs being lost. So you the question. So for us, no, I think the COA is doing a service to the country, no, by making sure also whatever refund that is being granted are only to those that are entitled to it. And I basically did not see the COA report, but it is to help the agency to also police its rounds, to make sure only those that are entitled to a refund gets it. Then we should really look into it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ms. Noemi Dado.
Hi, I'm Noemi Dado from Blogwatch. My question is, most of us in social media would like to know if you placed in your website your collections from the bigger businesses, because they would want to be targeted first before the smaller fries like us. Is that possible to post it, that if collections has been already exerted on these bigger fries?
That's the problem. Okay, there's a competing philosophy here. Let me say that 62% of everything we collect comes from only 2,000 corporations. So, and the 2,000 corporations are being closely monitored. We have a special unit, the Large Taxpayer Service, that specially monitors this large taxpayer. So the large taxpayer, normally we assess a big amount from them. It's really if you look at it, 40% of our economy is from the informal sector. These are the small, who are not even registered and who does not pay taxes. So if you look at it, the large taxpayer has a basis for complaining why do we keep on monitoring them and assessing them? Why don't we go to the small? When we go to the small says, why don't you go to the big? So that's the push and pull of the two sectors. No? So what we're saying is that at the end of the day, the whole objective is whether you're big or small, you should pay the right tax. If we come to know of a small taxpayer, the small is relative. If we come to know of a small taxpayer who does not pay taxes, then the law applies equally to him or her. As the state, because we have one law for the large and the small. The thing there is now we're prioritizing, there's a priority, no? Hindi naman namin mahahabol lahat ng maliliit. Kasi 12,000 lang kami. Yung maliliit, siguro kung 40% yan ng economy, million sila. No, hindi mo naman namin sila mahahabol lahat. So, they're at the bottom of the priority. But, as we try to address things, no, as we were able to address the large, we go to the medium, then we go to the small. So, So I think all of us should contribute. No? It's not a matter of being small, large, or medium. It's a matter of us being Filipinos, being in the Philippines, and if we love our country and we are good citizens, no? We should follow the laws of the Philippines. Included among them is yung tax law natin.
I have one more question, follow up. I talked to a mayor somewhere in Central Luzon, and according to him, he was able to increase the tax collection by talking directly to this self-employed. Will you have a strategy like that? Because doing this, tinatakot mo, or doing waging awards, it's kind of, it doesn't create a good impression on the self-employed. Maybe you could enjoin the mayors to help and talk to them personally.
You know, we're 109 years old. For
Yeah.
106 years, we have been talking to the taxpayer. We have been making pakiusap to the taxpayer, and it has not brought any result. I mean, that's the experience of 106 years. And then, while we're saying that we are law enforcement agency now, every time we have a tax deadline, which is April 15, you'll notice that we have a tax campaign. From January up to April 15, what we do is we have seminars to the taxpayer, we invite them to our office, we talk to them, we even have a dance and song show per region, no? Because we try to really convince them in a proactive way for them to pay their taxes. But after April 15, the convincing ends. Because after April 15, if you do not pay your tax, then that's when the law enforcement arm comes in. Because I think from January to April 15, that's 4 months and a half. After trying to convince you with 4 months and a half, if you're still not convinced, I don't think any convincing will ever work. So, given the Filipino psyche, that you have, that's why when the Filipinos are abroad, they're disciplined because they're afraid. Because they know that the strong arm of the law will come down upon them. Here in the Philippines, that has to be the case. It's the same philosophy. That's why when the Filipino who's from abroad, when they come here to the Philippines, the minute they land on Philippine soil, I don't know what is it in the air of the Philippine soil, they now become non-compliant immediately. Yung lahat na disiplina na nandun sa Amerika, sa kung anong bansa, pagtapak pa lang nila sa Pilipinas, biglang lahat nakalimutan na. No? Kasi yun nga, they think and they feel that the law will not get to them anyway. So that's what we're trying to correct.
Something like it. Actually, it's like but the nature of the question is, I think, worth analyzing. We want better roads, and yet we don't want to pay for it. We want better schools, and yet we don't want to pay for it. We want less crime, and we don't want to invest in a better system. We seem to think that small, with small comes privilege, and that only big should take care of things. And I think that mindset is something that really has not done any good to the country. I think the right of government to collect taxes is absolute. It is required of any Filipino, whether you are small or big or medium. Everyone's got to carry their responsibility. Big means more taxes you have to pay probably, and small means less taxes. But everyone has to pay taxes. There is no one that is exempted. Because if we operate on that basis, that means if you're small, it's okay for you to commit a crime. Because non-payment of taxes is a crime. So the question that you need to talk to someone first, so that you can convince them not to commit a crime. Not paying taxes is like robbing the country, robbing your children of their future, robbing the country of their potential. So do you mean that we have to talk to someone that's going to rob you so that he won't rob you? No. I don't think that's a mindset that we should carry to this. That the mindset is that it is our responsibility as Filipinos. If you look at countries that are less lucky than us in terms of resources, so Singapore, they don't even have their own water. They have to buy it from Malaysia. They don't have their natural resources, and yet they're much richer than us. So what is it there that they're doing differently than ours? It's compliance with laws. It's paying taxes. No? And that's why they're able to accomplish much better than what is their potential. And yet we believe that cheating government is a fair game. And I don't think that's the right attitude. That certainly is not the Matuwid. And that's why we're drawing the line today. No? We're declaring that this fight will now be taken doubly serious.
Michelle Oble of TV5.
As for the BIR, what's the BIR doing to police din naman yung kanilang rank na to make sure na wala na ng lagayang system na baka pinapalusot din kasi yung ibang self-employed through that kind of corrupt practice?
Yeah, that's why what we're doing now is we're enhancing our information technology, our ICT. In fact, the ETIS, the Enhanced Tax Information System, has already been given out by the Millennium Challenge Account Philippines. That's COMPAC. That's the support given to us by the United States. And I believe that it is to be awarded real soon. And the first phase should be completed by the middle of this year and then rolled out to the National Capital Region and the large taxpayer. Then there will be a second phase that will be figured out, and hopefully it will also be completed by 2020. And then there are other things that we're doing, and we're enhancing our processes, and then at the same time building the IT infrastructure to overlay this, to make sure that data encoded by data comes in as much as possible directly from the taxpayer, and it goes to our database without any interference from anyone else. And of course, we have put also a lot of other reform in the way we collect taxes and the way we collect returns, so that everything is accounted for. So we have existing, ongoing, around 26 to 30 projects doing all of these reforms. So aside from all these things that we're doing law enforcement, there's around 26 to 30 projects that are ongoing.
We have time for 2 more questions. Alvin of ABS.
Do you think this campaign will impact on the cost of the services that these professionals are paying, let's say doctors or lawyers, and then probably say, sige, we will pay the right taxes. What we will charge you, we will also increase the payment or the service fee that we ask you so that we can pay the correct taxes. Hindi ko magkakaroon ng impact na ito.
Alam nyo, the professional field, the self-employed and the professional, every year we're putting in new people into the profession. There are people in the lower rank that goes up. At the end of the day, it's a market-driven. If they want to increase their fees, then it's really up to them. If their market can absorb it, then that's fine. But if the market cannot absorb it, there are other lawyers, younger doctors who are equally qualified, who will be there to get whatever client is there, right? Because there will always be people who need lawyers, there will be people who will need doctors. So it's really a choice of the professional himself. What does he want? Does he want market share? Does he want, At the end of the day, it should not be the reason for increasing your fees. No? Because there are I think there are two timelines. One timeline is going forward. You should really receipt everything, pay the right taxes. How you want, if you want to compute how much net you want to get, that's really up to him. The one before that timeline, they should really go and look at what they have done in the past. That one, they cannot anymore increase their fees. They will have to check how much is it that they have reported, it can be supported, their lifestyle can be supported. I think it is just a very basic computation. Maybe what he should do is he should today look at all his assets. How much did he spend for buying a house, buying a car? How much did he spend for paying electricity, water? How much did he spend for sending his children to school? Total debt. I think very simple, if you total it, you divide it by 2, that should be the amount of taxes you get paid. You evaluate, going back, is this the tax that you have paid? We're talking of income tax alone. We're not talking about VAT, because that's another matter. Now, if it fell very short, I think it's about time, if they have not audited him yet or her, you should go back and amend his returns and pay the right taxes. Because otherwise, we will go back and look at those deficiencies. Even for businessmen who have houses, cars registered in their name, they have also to look at based on the same formula, no? 1/2 of that should probably be in payment in taxes. Now for cars, I issued a revenue memorandum circular last year that basically putting a cap of 2.4 million, the value of the car that you can put in the company, and that the company can buy for any employee. And it should be used directly and exclusively for that business. Any value above that, the company cannot take as a deduction, and it will be viewed as a compensation to that employee. So those are things that I think will basically try to close those loopholes.
Can I add something? Is that Alvin? Alvin, yung tanong mo, no, na kung magbabayad sila ng buwis, tataasan nila yung kanilang charge sa inyo. No? Pag sinabi sa inyo ng doktor mo yan, ng abogado mo yan, ng any professional, parang ang sinabi niya sa iyo, nakawan natin ang gobyerno, hati tayo sa savings. No? O nakawan natin ang gobyerno, iyo lahat ng savings. So ang tanong ko sa iyo, gusto mo bang maging kasama sa krimen? Gusto mo magnakaw? Papayag ka ba? So if you are presented with that situation, ang pakiusap namin sa inyo, pumunta kayo sa amin, no? At i-set up natin yung doktor o yung abogado o kung sino man nagsasabi na tataasan ko ang presyo sa iyo pag may resibo o bababaan ko ang presyo pag may resibo. Kasi ang katumbas noon ay parang sinasabing magnakaw tayo sa gobyerno para makatipid tayo. Because tax evasion is a form of stealing from the government. You are really cheating the government. So, gusto mo ba yun? Nakasama ka sa krimen, no? Eh sa palagay ko, Alvin, ayaw mo yan, no? At pag you're presented with that situation, I do hope that you know where to reach us, no? At para maturuan natin ng leksyon, yung mga ganyang tao.
It actually happens on the ground. Sasabihin sa'yo ng doktor is, gusto mo ba ng may resibo? Then you will charge higher to cover for the tax. Or gusto mo ito lang. Wala tayong resibo, pero mas mababa.
Kaya sana lumabas ito sa programa nyo para malaman ng on the ground ng mga tao na ang equivalent doon, ang katumbas doon ay niyayaya sila ng professional na magnakaw sa gobyerno. At pag ganun, alam ko karamihan ng mga Pilipino naman ayaw mag-commit ng crime, no? Eh, isusumbong nila, meron tayong www.peranangbayan.com. I-report niyo doon. No? At gagawan mo natin ng paraan kagad yan. Eh, ang problema, pag hindi tayo nagtulong-tulong, the work of improving the country is not just the government. It is all of us.
From GMA.
I'd just like to ask regarding the exploration and filing of cases against those who file under 13,000. I mean, what are the initiatives to improve on filing of tax evasion cases? I mean, do you plan to hire more tax lawyers, etc.? Because just basing the numbers from from what you've shown, is it even possible based on economies of scale? Also, regarding the revenue memorandum circular, I would just like to know when is this effective? The one that you sent.
First, when we said the 200,000 benchmark, it is as a trigger for audit.
Okay.
It's not a trigger for filing a tax evasion case with you. It's just a trigger for auditing the person. Then, as we audit him, then it can result in a tax evasion case or not. Although, there are people who we don't even have to look at 200,000. No? Like, for example, the case we filed against the basketball players. To let people understand how we can catch people. A business, when he pays something, he has to withhold taxes. Because if he does not withhold taxes, he cannot deduct that expense. So, these people, they have a basketball team. These are professional fees. So, when they pay the player, they have to withhold taxes. Otherwise, we're talking of millions that they cannot deduct. So, the taxpayer who pays this will have to report to us now. He paid this person, and this is the amount of his professional fees, and this is the amount withheld. All of that goes to a data warehouse in our office, and we match it. And we check, okay, this person was supposed to be paid this much. Then we check our database if he filed the return or not. It's an open and shut case if he did not file the return. It's an open shut case much more if he did not register. Kasi may professional fee siya, hindi siya registered, di talagang wala siyang binayaran. May professional fee siya, hindi siya nag-file, di talagang tax evasion yan. So, yung ganung kaso, hindi na kami nag-audit kasi, ano yan, in flagrante delicto, diba? Caught in the act. So, we don't even have to audit that. The audit will come after we have filed the return, just to satisfy the legal requirement of assessment. Then the other thing is, that's why we're using a lot of electronic ID capability, to magnify our efficiency. Because if we're just going to depend on 12,000 people, how can we monitor, let's say, we're 100 million, how can I monitor 50 million people? That's why we need, and we are using our IT capability. And modesty aside, I think the Bureau of Internal Revenue has the best IT capacity in the whole of government. Because we've been doing this since 1992. So that's why we're upping our efficiency in terms of IT. So that's how we're going to make ourselves more omnipresent, trying to be in more places in a single time using the IT capability.
Any
Just
questions?
as a follow-up. Unfortunately, we didn't use it as one of our examples. No? But in Bacolod, for example, no? Because of the IT capability of BIR, we were able to spot individual taxpayer whose gross income was over 3.2 billion pesos. No? 3.2 billion pesos. Hindi million, 3.2. And yet only paid about 500 plus thousand pesos in taxes. No? Tama ba yun? No? So, with IT now, no? we will be working with the BIR. We've created a team at the Department of Finance, no? Some from the NTRC, and we're creating capacity so that we can review the data that's coming out of the BIR and the Bureau of Customs, so that we can spot all of these anomalies that's going on.
Any questions from our